what I like to do, I think this is a really good jumping off point for a future discussion. And so I do want to kind of wrap it up a little bit here and make sure that we don't put too much out into one segment that would confuse anybody. I think this is a good point to kind of wrap up. So if you wanted to add any last thoughts you had about kind of the breadth of what we've talked about today, and maybe just explain, the best way to work with you in the Austin area and beyond, I think that'd be helpful for those that are listening, because there's a lot to take in when you talk about business planning, especially when you start to look at it from the perspective of dollars are dollars and risk is risk and taxes are taxes. So in future discussions, we're going to get a little bit more to the point, but is there anything you want to wrap up with from this broad overview?
I'll wrap up with why I think that our clients like working with us, and then also kind of what our process looks like from the beginning to an actual relationship. So I never like to think that we receive any business just because people like us, but more so because of our knowledge that we're able to bring. But the feedback that we've been given as a firm is that people want to work with us and continue to work with us because they truly can feel that we care about them as individuals or business owners, and truly have a vested interest in wanting to see them succeed. We have a saying at Strategic Capital that we learned from another close friend of ours who was on the national championship team for the University of Texas when they won that football title back in 05 or 06. But anyway, he said he liked working with us because we were PLUs. And we said, what's a PLU? He said, people like us. He said he likes working with us because he's like him and he cares about people. So that's the feedback that we've been given from all of the clients, or not all the clients, but clients that have decided to give us feedback, is that they can truly feel that we care and that this is not just a business relationship. And typically how we start this relationship is we have an introductory meeting where really we're learning about their business, how they bring in revenue, and just some goals that they have. And then we share the same on our end. And what we're looking to do in that introductory portion of the meeting is figure out if we are a good fit, figure out if we are PLUs that would be a good fit to work together. And if at that time they decide that they would like to work with us and we would also like to work with them, and I will caveat this and say we have had conversations with business owners where we just don't mesh, and they don't necessarily want to take care of their employees well, or they view their employees in a negative light, and we are the ones who politely part ways. But after we've identified that we are a great fit and work together, the next step is to start gathering information about their company. And the easiest way for us to have the most efficient planning meetings possible is, and this doesn't have to be brought to the first meeting, but certainly can, is information about the company. So prior tax returns, company census information, that will really allow for us to go in and identify exactly how the company is working and what strategies can be put in place in order to find solutions based on whatever that company base is working with. From there, usually that process takes about a week or two, the fact finding. And then once we get to an implementation stage, depending on the complexities of planning that need to be implemented, that implementation process can range anywhere from 1 to 6 weeks. But after everything's implemented, we like to have a follow-up meeting to make sure that everyone understands what all has been put in place, how everything is going to be working moving forward. And then ultimately moving forward on a year-to-year standpoint, we prefer and would love to meet with our clients on a semi-annual or quarterly basis, but bare bones minimum, we have to meet with them at least once a year in order to review what happened the previous year and what we want to evaluate for the next year moving forward.
For sure. And I'll just in wrapping up, I wanted to kind of give a metaphorical concept here, because I think as we get off of this call, this segment, and if Bobby and Chris want to chime in here at the end to give some parting words of wisdom, I think as we're cruising along in the business landscape, or in the ocean of the things that we're doing on a regular basis, we see this beautiful glacier iceberg in the foreground, and as we approach, we're like, wow, it's really beautiful. We really want to get up close and look at it. And I think when you're looking at business planning, sometimes that is what helps you realize that we're just scratching the surface when we talk about concepts, and that everything really needs to be taken into account when you're looking at fact finding. And you talked about census gathering and other things that happen on the strategic level prior to even be able to implement anything, because the iceberg really is mostly underwater, right? And there are risks that are there that we don't see until we get too close sometimes. And so I can appreciate the holistic perspective that you guys are taking when it comes to strategic planning. And obviously that has something to do with the name of the firm, but generally speaking, from a risk management perspective, a tax planning perspective, and just an understanding of the things that lay ahead in the waters of business, it's important to be working with a strategic advisor that can really help you to put those things together. And so, Bobby, Chris, Adam, we appreciate you guys' time today. I know that we didn't include Bobby or Chris as much today, so if they want to give any parting words before we go, I'd love to hear that.
I think the only thing I want to say is, on the business side, entrepreneurs and business owners are focusing on what they're good at, what is generating them revenue, and then they kind of put this type of planning to the side because they need to go out and run their business. And that's where I've seen Adam be extremely helpful to make sure things are compliant, working as they should be. And that just gives the business owner more confidence to go and do their job and make a more successful business for themselves and their family.
Definitely.
Yeah, I would have to agree with that. I think, if you are a business owner and you're looking to do some advanced business planning, working with someone that specializes in business planning versus a person that has some scratch the surface knowledge in business planning, I think would put you off in a way better position in the long run. So that's why we've decided to structure our business at Strategic Capital that way, where Chris and I work with individuals on personal planning, and Adam has dedicated his 10 years in the business to only business planning. So he is a very knowledgeable person in that area, and we're super thankful to have him.
All right. Bobby Russell, Chris Hernandez, Adam DiCerno, we appreciate your time today. We're looking forward to future conversations about business planning and other things that lie below the surface when it comes to strategic planning in general. And we'll close with that.